Every day, British and European politicians point fingers at smuggling networks, calling them the villains behind desperate people crossing borders. But what if I told you they're lying to you? These so-called smugglers aren't the cause of irregularized migration. They're a symptom. The real culprit? Borders and the governments enforcing them. Most of today's borders, they were drawn by colonial powers. Europeans colonized over 80% of the world, displacing millions, enslaving entire populations, and stealing vast resources. These lines weren't drawn to protect people. They were drawn to control and exploit them, keeping the wealth pillaged by empires locked away from the very people it was stolen from. Fast forward to today, those arbitrary lines have hardened into walls. Walls that trap people in cycles of poverty and violence, denying them safety and opportunity, and infringing on their human rights. But instead of taking responsibility for the wars, inequality, environmental destruction, and climate disasters they fueled, problems that force people to flee, Western governments point fingers at evil smuggling gangs. It's a convenient story, isn't it? Smugglers are the villains, politicians are the heroes, and the system? Perfect, humane, fair. Now here's the truth. People turn to smugglers because governments leave them no choice. If you're fleeing war, persecution, or poverty, and there's no safe or regular way to migrate, what do? You risk everything to survive. Smugglers exist because migration has been criminalized and made nearly impossible for the global majority. No visas, no accessible or affordable pathways, just razor wire, detention centers, border policing, and patrol boats. So people are forced to risk everything, even their lives. And the government's solution? More violence, more crackdowns, a war on migrants. Sound familiar? It's the same playbook they used for the war on drugs and the war on terror, and those didn't work either. Like those wars, this one doesn't solve the root problem. It makes everything worse, causing more deaths, more desperation, and yes, more smugglers. And the people who suffer most? The migrants and refugees whose human rights these governments claim to care about. But there is another way. End the criminalization of migration. Create safe, regular pathways. Let people move freely, safely, and with dignity. Politicians want you to believe this is about gangs and criminality, that these are the causes, not the consequences. But the truth is, it's about borders and the systems and societies that profit from enforcing them. Don't let them fool you. This is nothing less than state violence and racialized exclusion. These are their crimes against humanity. It's time to demand change. Let's tear down the walls that divide us and build bridges toward a world where true security is found in freedom, justice, and our shared humanity. A safe home for all on planet Earth.